Hey, g'day, Rudy here, and welcome to the how is your ETF slash ASX 300 shares going up against the King weekly update. So who's the King? The King is the MVR ETF. Basically consists of the top 31 mining related companies on the ASX. Please note, the King has only recently arisen. So he hasn't been performing over the years, but time has turned and he has awoken. Okay, so the objective of this video is to ensure your investments are achieving your objectives in the optimal manner. So whether you're looking for growth or income or both. We will use the King MVR as a benchmark for both those income and growth. So he pays a 4% dividend, so you can lock that away. And I believe we're at the beginning of a resource boom, so he will have growth to come. If you don't know about the King, and a video will be all about him, will be at the end of this video, for those that haven't seen him. So if this is your first time at the benchmarking event, please leave a comment at the end of the video about your thoughts, good and bad accepted here. Okay, on with the show. Okay, before we get into the charts, just want to congratulate Zane, who's a subscriber, who says, appreciate the effort you put into these chart explanations. Really helps someone new to trading. I prefer to call it investing with charts, but anyway. He says, I sold all my Vas and BGBL shares last week, and MVR now sits at the top of my portfolio with gold, silver, uranium, copper, followed up by my existing lithium and tech stocks. Beautiful portfolio. It's been a steep learning curve, but much more comfortable with where I sit. So that's wonderful. So well done, son. Okay, so let's get on with it. Alright, so I won't spend much time on going over the King, because that'll be at the end if you haven't seen it before. But this is MVR, so we're looking at weekly charts, and he's going up. Alright, so that's, before we get into it, so we'll just go through the Aussie share market. So this is the ASX 300. So you can see we're above the top of the trend channel, so we haven't made any big red bars yet, so it's still looking alright. The American share market, similar pattern, we're at the top of the trend channel, and we're a bit, so both of them are sitting right at the top of their highs, wondering what to do, as opposed to MVR, which is just starting. Alright, and another one for you overseas, your VGSs, Ivvs, NDQs, you need to worry about is the Aussie US dollar, because as this goes up, it detracts from your performance. So the Aussie dollar at the moment is sort of trading sideways to up. Alright, so I start with the King, so Commonwealth Bank, so it's the King of the ASX. Now, so what we do with benchmarking, okay, so what we do is we go and say, okay, so this is the MVR chart, and we go and divide it like that over the CBA. So what we're doing here is comparing the chart movements. So coming down, this means the CBA share price has been going up faster than MVR. Okay, so you hadn't wanted to be in MVR invested since July 23, because the Commonwealth Bank has outperformed. But everything goes in cycles, and we can see now that MVR, and okay, so the way it works is if you would buy this as we go through these charts. If you buy it, it means MVR is going to be outperforming whatever it's being compared to. Okay, so if you would buy that chart, that means you agree MVR is going to outperform CBA. Okay, so now if we look at, so this is VAS, which is obviously, you know what that is, if the VAS ASX 300. So this is MVR over VAS. So our main man picked the bottom here, so he switched out of MVR, out of VAS into MVR, so he's now enjoying outperformance. Okay, so this is MVR over VGS. So he's now cleared resistance. So he looks like MVR is now going to outperform VGS. Okay, this is our, so MVR over BGBL. So this is the man, the subscriber. So he switched last week. So he's now outperforming his BGBL investment. Okay, so I'm just going to go through all the popular ETFs. So MVR over gear. So that's still line ball. So they're both an equal investment. So I'm not trying to say MVR is the be all and end all, but it is a great benchmark going forward to see if you should stay where you are. MVR over IOZ. Well, that's a clear winner for MVR. MVR over VHY. Well, he's been outperforming since the beginning of the year. I haven't put. He just needs to get another better week in, but I'd say he's going to outperform VHY. MVR over SYI, another dividend ETF. So he's been outperforming since the beginning of July, or end of July. So a little bit more for outperformance. MVR over IVV. So just another week of green, and that would have the king outperforming the S&P 500. MVR over IOO. Just another week to confirm, but you get the trend, you get the gist, right? MVR has not been the place to invest the last couple of years, but cycles exist. So this is MVR over Qual. So I think MVR's got Qual in the bag. MVR over Moat. So that's a clear winner there. MVR over VDHG. So there's some clear outperformance there. MVR over DHHF. That's outperformance. MVR over NDQ. So he hasn't quite nailed those American ones yet, but he's certainly on his way. MVR over IZZ, which is China. So he's looking pretty good to outperform the IZZ. Who we've got? Okay, then we've got MVR over Hack. So that's interesting, that one, how he's outperforming the tech. MVR over Fang. Okay, so he hasn't really done anything there, so that's line ball. I wouldn't buy or sell that. So obviously a sell means that whatever he's compared to is going to outperform. MVR over ATEC. Still not enough. That's sideways. MVR over DTEC. Now that's an interesting one because DTEC's the defense one. So that looks like he's got that in the bag. MVR over QRE. Now QRE is the other resource ETF that we have on the ASX, but it's basically a market weighted approach. So BHP takes up like a third of the weighting, whereas MVR is more equal weighted. So I think long term MVR will outperform QRE with this continuation pattern. Anyway, alright, so one the king can't get is the banks. So MVB, so this is an equal weighted bank ETF. If it was market weighted, the king would have it because the king's outperforming Commonwealth Bank. So MVB is equal weighted across the banks, and that, well, at this stage looks bullish. So when we compare MVR to MVB, you can see really, well, since September last year, it's been a pretty good battle between the two. So neither of them are winning. So it's basically, you'd have to call it a draw, but with a bias to the upside, because we've already broken the downtrend trend. But anyway, it is what it is. Okay, so now we compare. I've got what you call ninjas. If you don't know what they are, hang around to the end. So these are ETFs that promoting, recommending, suggesting you invest in for growth. So this is MVR over URNM. So URNM is an ETF with uranium producers in it. So I'm calling that a sell. So a sell means I expect URNM to outperform MVR. So MVR, so the king had to go, but he can't do it. So URNM to outperform MVR. This is over URNJ, which is another uranium, but more mid-tier uranium producers. So it hasn't put the nail in the coffin yet on MVR, or MVR hasn't taken off. So that's a draw. Then we've got MVR over GDX. So this is a gold miners ETF. So still no nail in the coffin there. So that's equal. MVR over MNRS. Which is a gold miners ETF, except it's hedged for the Aussie dollar, because GDX, like all, it's basically got American gold miners in it, so it's not hedged. So as Aussie dollar goes up, it doesn't perform as well, whereas miners is. Okay, so that's a sell. So MNRS to outperform. MVR over GDXJ. So this is GDXJ is a gold miners, a mid-sized gold miners ETF. Okay, so he's breaking this long-term support there. So that's a sell or a buy the gold miners index ETF, I should say. MVR over the Wire ETF. So Wire is a global copper miners ETF. So I've got Wire to outperform MVR. We've got MVR over CopJ, so it's global copper miners, but mid-tier size. I have a number of actually Aussie copper miners in there. So no nail on the coffin yet. MVR over SilJ. So SilJ is a silver miner, global silver miners ETF. So that's SilJ to outperform MVR. MVR over REMX, which is a rare earth miners ETF. So that one's doing very well. MVR over LitP. So that's a lithium miners ETF. So that's a sell, and the king can't. He's struggling to get some green candles going there. MVR over fuel. So the fuel ETF is global oil and gas producers. So a little bit more, and probably MVR's got him. Okay, MVR over food. So food ETF is an agricultural But I like food for diversification. But technically, MVR's got him. MVR over the Aussie dollar silver price. So he's doing quite well. I do expect the silver price to outperform MVR. So he's broken. So silver's broken this support. So the trend is down. And the other one is MVR over the Aussie dollar gold price. Okay, so again, I would expect this Aussie dollar silver and gold to outperform MVR. So he's come up to resistance. So I think as the Aussie dollar goes up more, this will come down. Okay, so now on to some subscriber suggestions for benchmarking. So we got so one suggestion was, can you check how he's going against Karoon? So Karoon's an oil and gas stock. So this looks like it'll be pretty easy, this one. So MVR over Karoon. So, well, he hasn't put the nail in the coffin yet. So would you buy that or sell that? I certainly wouldn't sell it. Probably wouldn't buy it just yet, although the bias is to the upside because it's broken this resistance. Okay, Sol Pats. So this is a tough one. Now Sol is actually in the MVR ETF. So he's going up against his master. Okay, so Sol Pats. So that's the chart. So MVR over Sol. Now this is an interesting chart pattern because look at this for repeating. There's a clear line of support on this ratio here, and each time it's come down here, it's zoomed up, which means MVR outperforming. So, but where are we now? So the King MVR has been struggling to break through this resistance line here. And I reckon, given that chart pattern on Sol, I reckon Sol's in for a push up. So that push up will bring it back down here. And I reckon you'd do a switch to MVR after Sol's little burst. Okay, now Brickworks, Sol and Brickworks are basically sort of the same. Actually, I think they're merging into a company, Topco or something. So all this jazz is everyone getting excited. Anyway, it's a pretty bullish chart pattern there. So how does he go against the King? So not as clear as the Sol Pats, but probably I'd say, like, it's setting up a down sloping wedge is bullish, but only once it's broken. So I reckon it's a similar theme. Brickworks has another push, which will bring this ratio down, and then look for price action. Okay, then we've had Robo thrown in there. So Robo is the Global Robotics ETF, so tech. If I was just looking at this chart, it's looking quite constructive. It's broken up, come back, testing. So it looks beautiful. So MVR over Robo. Okay, so there's no... Well, it's setting up with a down sloping channels are bullish, but you got to break it. So it hasn't broken yet. So that's line ball. RBTZ, it's another, so this is an AI sort of ETF. So it's again it's looking constructive, but if I was looking to buy, well, it looks like it wants to come back down, test support, and then have a go up. That's what I'd be looking for. So it's not a buy now. So MVR over RBTZ. Now that's a bit more clearer. We've had a break. I'd probably it's probably a bit early. I'd probably wait another week just for confirmation, but that looks like MVR's got him. Okay, then there was some final. So we've got the XNJ, the Industrial Index. Okay, so that's so this is just the Aussie, the Industrial Index of the ASX. So very bullish chart patterns going up against the King here, which is good. That's the idea. So interesting. So it's a bit like the Aussie share market. It's up. We're up against the top of the channel, and it's just consolidating. So it's not bearish yet. Nothing's broken. We really need to fall below, have some big red candles. So that hasn't happened yet. So MVR over XNJ. You can see this is a prior support back here in 2020. But I'd say the King's got the XNJ. So if you would buy that share, price action, it means MVR is going to outperform XNJ. And then the last of them is XPJ. So this is the AREIT index. So again, we're at the top of our trend lines here. We've had so we're still above this trend line, so technically still bullish. What was I going to say? Performance heavily related to interest rate movements. So anyway, technically, well, it's not a sell. I probably wouldn't buy it being near resistance, but how does it go against the King MVR? So MVR over that index. So historically we're sort of hanging around the lows, but it's been trading in a range, a bit like the banks really, isn't it? Trading in a range. So you could say you could take a short-term trade on buying XPJ over MVR for it to come down here. But I'd call it line ball, so you couldn't say that's a buy or a sell. Okay, so what does that all mean? So I've sort of got a bit of an analogy here. So imagine you're going to war against a rich country that you need to eliminate to survive. So you need to eliminate the country. So you need to assess your desires. Do you want their money or not? Which is basically, do you need to grow what you've got? So you need their money, or you're pretty comfortable with where you are. You need to kill them, but you don't want their money because you just want some cash flow, some divvies. Okay, so you decided you want their money. Alright, so what I reckon is, okay, so you're going to need a tank. So your tank's your MVR, so it does all the hard work destroying that city that's after you. But you need to be surrounded with some ninjas who will go and get their money. Okay, so the ninjas are like the ones I went through that are outperforming or going to outperform the MVR. So we start with our US-based ETFs. It's not hard to set up a US brokerage account. Currency risk no different to taking what you're taking with VGS. So we've got your rare earth miners, your silver miners, your gold miners, your uranium miners, your copper miners, your lithium miners. Now, so they're the US ones, and then we have on the ASX we have GDX and MNRS. So they're your gold miners. These are your uranium miners, URNM, your copper miners, oil and gas miners, and we don't have any rare earths, so you've got to go for like a Linus. We don't have any lithium ETFs, so you've got to go for a Pilbara. And the reason I prefer these ones over these ones is because these ETFs basically have the big caps of each area, whereas these ones are more your mid-cap companies that sit in these ETFs. And in the bull market, mid-caps outperform the big caps. And also, well, you can't get a lithium ETF or a rare earth ETF on the ASX. And then you also want to, if you've got other growth related stocks that you know about, well, you throw them in with your ninja gang. So you still got your tank. He's your main man that does the blowing up, and he's surrounded by these ninjas. Okay, so say you've got enough money. I just want to eliminate him, eliminate the competitor, that is, and keep a good cash flow coming. Okay, so I reckon, so you still need a tank, MVR. So he's locking away a 4+% dividend, so you don't have to worry about that. And he's gonna destroy your position. So he's done that. But you now want to surround yourself with some drinking buddies. Okay, so drinking buddies, aka they're not ninjas. All right, they're not going to go and do the hard lifting. The dirty work. So your ETFs like VHY and SYI, they're good dividend ETFs. Some dividend stocks, Woodside, Fortescue, some, and other dividend stocks that may be around. So less growth focused, more dividend focused. All right, so that's a wrap for the weekly benchmarking video. Leave us a comment on your thoughts, and have a good week. See ya.